talking about how to have a great future Friday, and it's going to be fun. It's gonna be fun.
In 1,000 feet, use the right 2 lanes to keep right.
Hey friends, it is Friday, August 13, 2021. Looking forward to hang out with you here on Prepare to Go There. Thank you so much for being a part of this coaching conversation. Really an invitation to friends and leaders alike who want to stay focused practically on the future and then figure out how to lead themselves there day by day. My name is Peter, and it is so much fun to just get to hear your stories and to help you work on yourselves, work on your why, work through the weight, and really just embrace a lifestyle of preparation. You know, I'm here for leaders, emerging leaders, and you want to be mission-minded. You want to live with purpose. You want to go beyond yourself in the service of others. You have really a sense of calling, but you got to figure out how do you actually live it out now. And that can be difficult. It can take time. It can be discouraging. A lot of the times that process of preparation goes unnoticed. You have to figure it out. And preparation is not a shortcut. It is a necessary path that we go on. And so I just want to keep you company. I just want to let you know that what you're doing is worth it. And every time you invest in yourself, you'll have more value to give away in the service of others. So thank you for just spending some time today. It's been an amazing day, Future Friday. I highly recommend it. We're going to be talking about some ideas to give you dedicated time to work on your future again. It's crazy how literally every week something else comes up. It's like we have so many attractions and distractions that can come up and rob our focus from the things that are really important, from the things that are right in front of us. So this is your call to action to put your future back on the front burner. And I've learned that most people don't know how to lead others into a better future unless and until they figure out how to lead themselves there first. So I'm passionate about helping leaders, but leadership has to go through phases, stages. First, we lead ourselves, then we lead others, and then hopefully we can lead through others. And honestly, most people, they opt out or they forfeit or they disqualify themselves before they ever get there to that quote championship level where you become a champion of others and you become a champion of the future. And that's really sad because we do put a lot of work and energy into the things we care about, the teams we lead, the companies or the organizations, the communities, the movements. And I want you to like enjoy the journey now, obviously, but I also want you to finish well. And you finish well when the thing you launched or pioneered or started doesn't finish with you. And so there's a lot that can be said about all that, but really, if this resonates with you, then you're in the right place. Prepare to Go There is a call to action for friends and leaders alike who want to focus practically on their future, not daydream, not fantasize, but actually take it to heart, take it seriously, and say, I'm going to do something about this. And then when you make that commitment, when you identify what's important and where you're going, then you have to figure out how you're going to get there. And then on top of that, how are you going to get other people there with you? Whatever that, that big picture plan is. And it's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of time. So what do you do in the meantime? You have to be going through this necessary and unnoticed preparation process, which actually prepares you for the very thing you set out for. And while you're working on that big picture plan, you're getting worked on as well by the process to get there. And the people who really arrive, they are the ones that arrive ready because they were willing to go through all that. And so don't be discouraged. Don't be distracted, and definitely don't get disqualified from the future that you're meant to pioneer, because a lot of people are counting on you, whether you realize it or not. And so we talk a lot about self-leadership. We talk a lot about just doing the boring basics in life. Talk about goal setting, scheduling, how to have a mission critical calendar, and just helping people do the everyday stuff that gets you into the future where you really need to be. So with that said, I really encourage you, be a part of this coaching journey. Show up again and again, and keep in touch with the content. These conversations are designed in a long forum where it's not necessarily one or two main things that are said that really, make the difference. It's more of just that dialogue. It's more just fuel for your focus. I've learned that if I'm just listening to these kinds of conversations, it just keeps me focused. It keeps me going. And it is enough to motivate me to find new and needed ways to level up. And most of the time, we don't quit on our goals. We just forget them. And so don't forget that you set great goals. Don't forget that you're going, bigger places, that you have an amazing future that's waiting on you, and get after it today. Take action today. Do something in the name of what you're capable of one day. So I like that. Most people forget their future before they quit what they're doing today. So join the email community. We call it the Future Friends. And I want you to find more friends for your future, people that will listen to you, get behind you, support you, and resource you with the strategies and the tactics to become more confident, more competent as a leader. And I want to say thank you for just listening to this conversation. And I want to give you a free gift. It is a fail-proof planning guide that's really going to help you get going, get better. If you're wondering, man, this sounds good, where do I start? Start here with this free PDF, and it's going to walk you through step by step a proven process to learn how do you actually look at the future, look at the calendar which feels either super blank or super cluttered. Normally it's one or the other. And how do you make sense of that calendar and turn it into a mission critical calendar where you're only doing the things that matter most for where you're going, not just kind of a repeat of all of these obligations and outdated expectations of where you've been. And so it's going to start at the high level with some goal setting, and then it's going to help you think through your own rhythms and then apply that to daily scheduling, which is very helpful. And it's not a one and done thing. This is a planning process that you're going to insert, that you're going to work through again and again. For instance, in a monthly planning session or even a weekly planning session, depending on how much of it you want to use. And as you look out, you're not going to be feeling fragile about your commitments. You're going to be thinking more agile. How do I navigate, adapt the circumstances so I can continue to make progress in the right directions? So it's a very simple process. Just find the link at the bottom of this video, or you can go to peterburchfield.com and grab the free fail-proof planning guide, name and email, and then you will be on your way. Let's get into the conversation for today, which is Future Friday. I love Future Fridays, and I'm convinced that your future needs to be your full-time job. I know you do a lot of things. I know you have a lot of responsibilities, but no one else is going to be thinking and working on your future but you. So you have to have a clear expectation of what's important and what's possible. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. The legendary leader Zig Ziglar would say, if you aim at nothing, you're going to hit it every time. So have a clear focus in mind. And I've found that that's not just something you can sit down and make up. That takes some intentionality. And we've been talking about our long game. What's your long game? Do you have a long game? Do you know how to play the long game? And even now, people are wondering, what's the point of a long game? It seems like everything is pretty crazy right now. But I really, really want you to hear this, okay? You have to play your game. You cannot just be reacting to everybody else and everything else. You have to lead yourself with intentionality and integrity. You can't be controlled by the uncontrollables. There are things that are out of your control, and you are thinking way too much about it. There are things that are in your control, and you're thinking way too little about that. So you have to almost manually reset your thinking, because sometimes we can get clouded and crowded by all of this other stuff. And a Future Friday is that reset button on our focus where we can unplug temporarily. We go off limits, sometimes offline, and we say, let me get grounded again. Let me focus again, and let me update my identity. Sometimes you have more time and you can say, let me upgrade my identity, and then let me use that as a reference point, who I am meant to be, and then I can identify what that looks like in the future, and then I can begin to chart a course accordingly. So I'm really, really big on Future Friday. In fact, I make it a standing content commitment. I give the whole day every week. Well, for me, it's my off day, but I treat it like a work day. because I want to work on my future. I want to take that time, and I'll give you some, ideas. We can revisit that. This is still a pretty fresh live stream, and I realize that people are kind of coming in and out. So they may know about Future Friday, they may not. So this is a foundational best practice that I would love to pass on to at least 1,000 emerging leaders, maybe more, maybe 5,000 or 10,000. But I would love to help friends and leaders be proactive about a lifestyle of preparation. And one of the easiest on-ramps to get into this is you just got to literally invest 1 day a week to mentally take field trips to the future and to start working on this stuff. Because the truth is, once you make space, all these answers, all these insights, they emerge. And then you say, okay, I have the clarity. Now let me chart the course and make it happen. So having said that, if you are watching, I really appreciate this. I am showing up for you. I want you to keep showing up for you too. Go ahead and say hi in the chat and let me know where you're watching from. And then we will get into some of these questions right now. I've seen a few of the initial ones, but I need to check it one more time before we blast off and go from there. If you have a question for Future Friday, we can talk about it. And okay, amazing. So I got a question here about how do you get unstuck? Another question, what's a weekly time or money investment you recommend for your dream job? Okay. That's a great question. We'll get to that. What are the true signs of success? Profit, engagement, consistency. And that's super good. If you had to choose, is working hard or resting enough more important? Ooh, the age-old debate. The hustle culture versus the holistic culture. Very good. That's a fun one. I should actually bring some future friends on and just have a panel discussion about that one, because that's a pretty important one. Recommended ratio of working in the business versus working on the business. Yes, very good. What's the best way to get clear in your purpose or your business? Okay, these are all awesome. It is not too late. So if you're watching, go ahead and drop a question in, and we'd be happy to get into it. So Future Friday, let's start with that one. What is Future Friday, and how do you have a Future Friday? The short answer is a Future Friday is a dedicated time or a dedicated slot in your week where you literally guard it like a linebacker and you are defending that time, and you make enough space just so that way you can revisit your personal roles, your goals, your scheduling. It's a weekly planning session, but I've kind of souped it up. I've made it a little bit more robust, and I use that time to invest in myself or invest in future plans and projects. So I've identified, I don't have a slide for it now, but awesome. Hi, Tasha. I'll get to that question too. But I have kind of made a checklist of sorts for a Future Friday. And again, the disclaimer is it doesn't have to be Friday. That's just my work schedule. But I believe you have to schedule it so that way it happens consistently. And the first step is you've got to finish before you can take off and go to the future. So it's a finish line. Finish my work by Friday, finish my job by Friday, finish what I know to do. And that's really tough for a lot of people. They're doing this work-life balance and the work never feels done. and then it bleeds over into family life. And so it's kind of this tangled web of conversations and responsibilities. And so it can be really tough to kind of untangle that. And there's two strategies to that I would pass on. Number one is you need a definition for done. You need a definition for done. If you haven't kind of quantified, at least on paper, maybe it's not a straight checklist, but maybe it's just like a little paragraph that you've written that says, and this is what done looks like, sounds like, feels like in my context of work, then you won't know. You won't know if you hit it or not. The second strategy is to avoid overwork. You have to practice just stepping over the work. And what I mean by that is you're not saying, I'm never doing this again, or I'm not talking to any of y'all again. None of y'all jokers, don't call me, don't talk me, whatever. Instead, you just say, hey, I have to park. I just have to park this. In fact, I had a team member, and she gave me this language, which was amazing, and I've been using it ever since. Hey, we're going to put that in the parking lot. That project, that conversation, that question, we're going to put that in the parking lot, and then we'll get back to it. And I think that's great. You have to practice avoiding overwork by stepping over the work. And there's a simple principle to it. There is a time and a season for everything. There is a time and a season for everything. So we need to learn and discern the time I'm in right now. What's it about? What's it for? What is optimal in this time? And you can, that's a loaded question. You can start very macro. Maybe even meta. You'd be like, all right, what season of life am I in right now? And that's cool. Or you could be going more like month by month and asking yourself, okay, what's important and what's possible? And let me pick one or two or three, big goals, big projects that I'm going to attack. And I can give examples for that if you're interested. But more specifically, even when you're scheduling out your days, you need to start thinking about your rhythms and say, how do I want my mornings to go? How do I want my evenings to go? I know pretty much work life is going to be improvised for the most part because it's a dance, right? You are making requests and you're taking responses, or you're responding. And so you can't really schedule other people, so to speak, but you can organize yourself in a way that sets you up and actually gives you margin, actually gives you a buffer. So that way, when other people kind of come crashing in, you don't really feel the brunt of it. You've done your due diligence, and now you can serve others out of your margin. So anyways, Finish Friday. Finish Friday has to come first. Then we have to focus. A lot of times it's really cool to go dream, to get away. We do that maybe periodically, but most of the time, a Future Friday is kind of that hidden time, that time I'm kind of hiding out and I'm working on a big project that I want to launch in the future. So I'll give you a few examples of that. I'm working on a big training course for our church community. And I've been working on this for a few months, but it's going to be a big deal. And I'm going to be launching it like a big event. And hopefully it'll be able to multiply and help other communities. So it's worth that investment for me. I'm doing another online coaching course right here for y'all. So I've been working on that and just kind of chipping away. Honestly, I thought I could do both at the same time. I've had to almost prioritize one at a time as well. Maybe that's just the way I'm wired, or maybe these are just big rocks that you have to kind of work through in bigger spaces. My wife and I just got into a new home, our first home. So we're super excited about that, super grateful for this season. So obviously we've been putting Future Fridays into that. And so you just kind of have to alternate and rotate them through and take them one at a time. But first you finish, You have to have a finish line. And if you don't, then you actually have to finish the work, right? Before you go have fun. Then you're going to identify some things to focus on. And you won't even get it all done in one Future Friday, but you're just chiseling away. You're chunking down. You're doing it. And over time, you're going to see your life taking ground in multiple directions and on multiple fronts of your life. And then after that, we've got Future Friday, which is really more of a strategic initiative. This is where you're really learning, discerning, you're planning, you're kind of going out there. Today, I was just watching some YouTube videos, reading books, kind of going deep, doing research, and doing it guilt-free, doing it without feeling guilty. I mean, that's been one of the best gifts for me, to actually take a field trip to the future and not feel guilty that I'm letting my team down or that I'm somehow MIA when it counts. I know it. My team knows it. I'm offline. I'm off limits. I'm not available. And I'm not that important. You know, you don't need me. You can figure this out on your own. So you do have to do some repetition there, but over time, people are really rooting for you. And then last one is Future Friends. Future Friends, this is a fun thing to schedule into your week and to your Future Fridays. Text some friends, talk to some friends, and interview people. Maybe you can make time for someone that you respect and you want to learn from, like a mentor or even just a peer that's doing something cool in your field. And I have found a lot of fun and a lot of just enjoyment from getting behind somebody else's future and saying, hey, let's push on, and how can I help you? Let me be a soundboard. Like, let me just hear you out. Because I found even when you are excited about your thing, your project, whether it's your health or maybe you're figuring out a new hobby, or maybe you want to research a new topic. Some people, they've got like a little bit of bandwidth, you know, maybe they'll listen to you for like 5 minutes and they'll be like, oh, that sounds interesting. That's cool. You know, and then it moves on from there. But where do you have a space where somebody or a few friends, they would actually listen to you go all the way? I mean, that's a real gift if you've got that kind of friend. And so I want to be that kind of friend to other people. So those are the 4 steps. And because I've kind of gone on monologue mode there, I'm going to answer Tasha's question first. Been having trying to have structure in my life. Very, very cool. This is a very, very good conversation. Tasha, you just made my day. Thank you so much for bringing this up. I geek out over this stuff all the time. Here is the point. You ready? We all want space. We all want more space in our life. Man, I just feel kind of cramped or cluttered or crowded out. I wish I had time to do this, but I don't. I wish I learned piano. I wish I could, hang out with those friends, or I wish I could read that book or write that book or do that thing, but everything's kind of out of control and cluttered. We all want more space, but what we need is more structure. Structure helps us achieve space. And that is paradoxical because I am a classic creative. I mean, I'm visionary to the max. I'm all about going to the future. Let's dream it up. Let's plan it out. Let's get strategic. Let's go far. And I was always frustrated because it felt like I was going there, but I wasn't actually getting there. And when I realized that, structure actually helps me take steps and move forward in stages, then I didn't feel so restrained or constricted or restricted by it. I didn't feel so like straitjacketed, like, oh my goodness, time blocks. Are you kidding me? Theme days. Are you kidding me? And really what I was doing was observing what I was already doing. I was just observing the natural habits, the natural rhythms that I had. And I was noticing good days and bad days, good sessions, bad sessions, things that were working, things that weren't working, and then designing or mapping out, okay, let me do that again. let me try that again. And it's not about this Olympic performance of a work week. It's really about the practice. It's about the journey, and it's about growing in the way you understand how your life can flow. And then the fun is where you level up and you start including other people, me and now Sarah Joy, who is a boss, amazing. And she and I have totally different work styles and, different strengths. And so I would try to do these dream dates. I used to call them dream dates. And basically it was coffee and calendars. And I was like, oh, let's talk about, our plans and stuff. Like, I'm a planner. So she was like allergic to calendars. I couldn't even like talk about it. I'd, try to set it up on the laptop and just kind of, hey, so just tell me casually what you want to do and I'll just mark it down here on the calendar. And she would sniff it out. She'd be like, is there a calendar nearby? I'm like, dang it. And then, she would be like, I ain't doing that. I just want to wake up and work. I want to just wake up and hit the ground running. And, we kind of worked through that, and I didn't win her over. I just learned her style and her preferences. And now we get to design a lifestyle that we both enjoy. And so here are some tactics for the structure and the scheduling. Obviously, start with your day. Start with every day. And there's basically 4 parts of your day: the morning, the mid-morning, the afternoon, the evening. And just pen and paper, write down big boxes. You could do it like Foursquare or like 4 boxes across, however you see it visually, and try to identify the time boundaries of what that would look like for you. What time do you want to wake up? And when would that early morning session actually end? Normally it's when you go to work, right? So from the time you wake up to the time you go to work, that's generally, in my vernacular, the early morning box. And then you've got the mid-morning, which is basically your first work session before lunch. And then you've got your afternoon, and then you've got your evening. Generally, evening is when you finish work to, I guess, going to bed. And I don't count sleep, even though you probably need to. But I'm just, you don't have to plan your dreams or anything. You go to sleep. So how do you imagine those days going? And just write down the things you know about. You're just trying not to get caught off guard. And what's fun is when you write all that down on paper, you realize very quickly, a lot of this stuff is repeatable. So maybe I could improve the process. And then the other thing you realize is, I only have a limited space here on paper. So if I'm writing more and more stuff about all this stuff, like you want a morning routine with 22 things in it. Well, have fun with that. Knock yourself out. It's not going to happen. So then you realize, I have constraints. I have to work within those constraints. I'm not just dreaming up, again, this Olympic performance of a morning, of a day. I'm going to factor in that some days I'm going to feel up, some days I'm going to feel down. And so I want to just hit that rhythm, and I'm practicing it. And I whenever I hang out with friends and work with other leaders and we do this scheduling thing, I always just start with, tell me what you already do. Let's just start there. And then let's begin to dream about what would be cool and what would work. I don't even start with time blocks anymore. I just start with these 4 boxes. And if you can visualize where your time's already going, then you can better organize how you want it to go again. So very good. I'm glad. I hope this helps. And please genuinely just say a prayer that I can keep making progress, because this is a big category, a big topic in the coaching course that I'll be putting out. So I'm happy to keep going in this direction. Just give me any feedback. But I'm going to get on to the other. Well, let me mention one more thing. Time budgeting is a lot of fun. Time budgeting is a tactic. I think we get budgeting with our money, but we don't get budgeting with our time. And so you play the game the same way. It would probably lean a little more towards the Dave Ramsey kind of budgeting. It's a kind of a zero sum game where you only have 24 hours in a day and you have to plan how you're going to use it. And so you could use it mainly as a diagnostic. And again, you're just trying to get everything that you already know out on paper. Because something happens, like when you think it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't seem as hard or it doesn't seem whatever. But when you actually visualize it, you kind of externalize it from you, you will either say, wow, that's a lot. I need to pare down. I need to prune this back. Or you're going to say, wow, this is very clear. I can do this. I got this. I see what's important. And then you have something to latch onto and focus on. So that is a good thing. Time budgeting, kind of reverse engineer it. How much time would I need to sleep? How much time would I need for work? How much time would I need for family, for each of the kids, or for, spouse, or for hobby, or for this, or for that? And what you're going to realize is, wow, time went by really fast. And then you have to factor in buffer, because things will take longer than you want. And then when you overload one day and you can't do the one day anymore, now it's time to work on theme days. And now you can start to mix and match and create a weekly spread that makes sense and is fun, and enjoyable. But I'm telling you, just going through this process, it is not. Sometimes people think that setting up structure and setting a schedule and all that stuff, they don't like it because they feel disempowered. They say, man, I don't want to be kind of cramped or crippled into making these choices. It feels like they're losing their freedom, when really you're gaining more freedom. Your discipline is the door to freedom. So you're gaining empowerment. You're making those choices. You're taking responsibility. And I can't talk enough about this. So I think you hit a happy button. Let's move on. What's the best way to get clear on your purpose? Best way to get clear on your purpose. I think identifying your roles is a big thing. For me, I'm a dude. I'm a husband. I'm a pastor. Obviously, my core identity is I'm a disciple of Jesus. So starting with that, and then working out to things I'm passionate about, things that are important to me. And what makes you unique is not any one of those roles. What makes you unique is the combination of those roles. And so figuring out your purpose is taking a field trip into the future and really just getting clear on, man, that's tough to just summarize here. And you could use that strategy too, a strategy of summarize and strategize. Summarize things when it feels overwhelming, strategize things when it feels like a writer's block. But I'm really big on journaling, because you make discoveries you didn't have. I'm really big on scheduling, because you make decisions that you need to make. And honestly, if you really want to get clear on your purpose, either start talking or start writing. And I'm pretty sure, 92% sure, it's going to come out in a matter of time, because whatever's in you wants to come out. And so we just have to facilitate that. But as far as like a business purpose, there's an easy model there. People, this is not original to me, but people have talked about, what are you good at? What are you passionate about? And what will make money? And I think that's like the hedgehog principle from Good to Great, Jim Collins. Entrepreneurship, that's a big one, which is like find a need and meet it. When you are serving people and solving problems, then you'll always profit. So that's great. And honestly, when it comes to your purpose, I would say don't overthink it, because your purpose is not what you're doing right now. Your purpose is who you're becoming, and as a Christian, from a Christian worldview, my purpose is my identity in Christ, that I would glorify God in ... being a dude, being a husband, being a pastor, being a coach, a friend, a mentor, an author, whatever. And so don't overthink it, and just start clarifying your why, and test your why and let it grow over time. Recommended ratio working in the business versus working on the business. That is an amazing question. How do you balance? You got stuff you have to do, but that execution is only one part, and strategy, you have to balance it with strategy. I heard a recent story, true story, which is perfect for this. There is a guy, David somebody, forgive me, David, I need to give you a shout out. Anyways, he was a, I guess, retired Navy SEAL, and he wanted to push himself. He wanted to get a challenge in, because doing the SEAL thing, I think that's a high bar already. And so he's like, I need a new challenge. So he wants to do like a ultra marathon. And so he picks like one of the hardest ultra marathons that he can do. And he has no preparation at all. Like, he just puts on some regular shoes, and basically just goes for it. I think he packed just like a few protein bars, maybe a bottle of water. He just went for it. Well, he finished the thing, but it like nearly killed him. And I think that just is such a kudos to the grit and the raw power that the SEALs have. And so that's so impressive and admirable. But he realized, dang, if I'm going to do good, I have to implement strategy as well. And so the next round, he was training, he was studying, he got the right gear, he got the right tactics, he was working on mindset, he was working on himself. And the next ultra marathon he went through, he was in a car, he went ahead, he drove through the whole thing. He really did it. And he ended up placing, I think 7th place or 4th place, he like took a massive jump in his excellence because he added the strategic layer, So you have to have both. You have to plan your work, and then you work your plan. And I just said yesterday, Abraham Lincoln would give this quote: if I had 6 hours to take down a tree, I would spend the first 4 hours just to sharpen the saw. So getting that strategic edge is so important. I think this is one of my pet peeves, man. All you future friends, you've been pushing all of my favorite buttons, the things that make me happy, the things that make me frustrated. So the things that make me happy is like getting strategic, getting on a plan, getting after it. The thing that frustrates me is when people don't value that, and they look at you and they're like, what'd you do today? How much you get done? And I know what they want. They want a checklist. They want to see some to-do list where I said, oh, I did 37 things. Aren't you proud of me? Where's my gold star? And I'll say like, yeah, I basically spent 4 hours and I have nothing tangible to show you for it. Because I was thinking. And I feel dumb even saying that, but when you are adding that strategic layer, you are force multiplying your time. You're force multiplying your effort. You're force multiplying. One of my favorite little stories about this, it's an anecdote, but it gets the point across. There was back in the day, I guess 1800s, whatever, they would chop down big trees and they would transport them down the river. And so they would transport them, they'd chop trees down, throw them in the river and float them down and get them to where they need to go. And they had a log jam. There was a massive log jam, and all of the people working there, all the workers, they can't get it out. They can't fix it. And so they go to the foreman and they say, we got this log jam. What do we do? And he says, okay, I'll be back. And he leaves and he goes into the forest. And they're like, what is he doing? He just left the biggest log jam. We're not going to finish the work in the day. This is going to be a mess. We don't know what to do. He left us. We came back like an hour or two later. And he jumped on the logs in the water. And he got his stick or his axe or whatever he's working with. And he starts to work on one specific part of the log jam. And he busts it up. And then all the logs started flowing smoothly again. And they say, how'd you do that? That was amazing. He said, well, I went into the forest. I climbed a tree. I got up real tall. And I just started to look at the situation from a higher view. And I noticed the source of the log jam. And then I knew what to do. That is invaluable. Man, we will waste more time if we're just trying to bust it, like that former Navy SEAL. If you just hit it with raw execution, man, I commend you. That's powerful that you have that kind of stamina. But can you imagine that brute force along with a level of strategy, a level of just getting away and getting ahead? So I really recommend, there's a book, if you're interested, there's a book called The One Thing by Gary Keller. And it's all about, he has this little formula in there where he says, you spend your mornings making and your afternoons managing. He basically talks about two kinds of work, which would be the strategic kind of working on your business, and then the more admin or management stuff. And he basically scheduled part of his day for making, part of his day for managing. Now, if you're a solopreneur, or if you're pushing, or if you have a side hustle, whatever, you may not be able to do that. The bottom line is you have to literally schedule. This is time I'm making something for the business, or I'm making the business better. And then this is time where I'm managing the business. I'm working on the team for these hours or these days, and then I'm managing. I would think you need at least, if you're getting started, and this is very, very conservative, you need at least 4 hours to work on your business a week. At least 4 hours, whether it's all at once strategically or the first hour of every day. You want to start your day with, the future in mind. And you want to get strategic, start your day strategically, and then get after it. So I hope that helped. Very good. Okay. If I had to choose working hard or resting enough, which is important, I think the answer is both. That's not a cop-out, but it goes both ways. If you're not rested, you're not working at your best. Rest gets us to our best work. And if you're sleep deprived, or if you're anxious and you're not at peace and you're not restful, you can't focus anyways. You don't have a lot to give. So you have to get the rest you need, and you have to identify or diagnose how much sleep what does that look like? What does that mean for you? There's a ton of good science on sleep. And I would encourage you to really be intentional about that. And that's a good way to kind of make that distinction between strategic and execution. Execution says, I need sleep. Strategy says, I need to learn how to make my sleep better. And kind of a combination of both gets you there. But having said that, here's my little caveat. If you don't work hard, I don't know if you can really lay your head on the pillow and feel accomplished and rest well. I mean, I want to get to a place where I drain myself, I empty myself that day, where I have given it everything and I literally collapse into that bed feeling like, and I'm wiped, but I did good work. And I'm proud of what I did. Sarah Joy has this sign that she made. She's got beautiful handwriting, and she says, don't finish till you're proud. And I think that kind of creates the cycle. When you give it your best, then, you want to rest well, and then vice versa. When you invest in your rest, it's going to show up in a great day's work as well. But everybody's got different rhythms and different not conditions, but contexts or configurations to get that. So you really do need to just make that a little project. And I would make it a monthly project. I would make it a one-time thing. I would try, testing myself in different sleep configurations in the sense of like hot temperature, colder temperature, and try to kind of fine tune that. I would do it one time. I'd make it a monthly project, and I'd move on. I wouldn't think about it for at least 3 or 4 months if I needed to. Okay, what are the true signs of success? Profit, engagement, consistency. Well, here's the deal. Success has become so convoluted. There's different ways to approach it. As a Christian, my personal definition of success is obedience. And that really goes back to your purpose and your why. And so I think you need to know what your why is. But then when you're just trying to like keep score, right? And you want to keep score with what's important and what's possible, I think a big measurement, or at least a big indicator, is progress. Are you making progress? There's nothing more encouraging than seeing signs of progress. And so you need to know your numbers. You need to keep, journaling your journey. You need to keep having those checkpoints with future friends or mentors, or even, your spouse or your team members. And you have to intentionally set these goals and then figure out how you're going to celebrate them, because that's what keeps us going. That's what keeps us growing, is seeing those signs of progress. So it might be a simple answer, but are you making progress? And not just in one area. Sometimes we can fall into the trap of the tunnel vision, where we're just seeing progress in one area of our life. We're taking steps forward in one area of our life, but we're actually taking big slides backwards in other areas of our life. So I want to get that holistic picture. Am I making progress north, south, east, west? And what that means is you might have to go a little bit slower in the short term, because you do, like I said, on Future Fridays, I can't do all of the big projects I have at once. So one time I'm working on a project for this, Prepare to Go There. Another time I'm working on a project for our church community. Another time I'm working on a project for the home front. And even though it's a little bit different strategy, that's the approach that I'm running with, because I want to see progress in all those directions at one time. And it really does all work. And what I have found is making progress, even in, 1 or 2 areas of your life, will take time. So in the meantime, you can start working on something else while you're waiting to see those results. So you never have to be idle if you are intentional. What is a weekly time money investment for your recommended dream job? I would just say the short answer is get a Future Friday. Get a Future Friday and make it weekly. Give yourself at least 1 hour, and then you want to aim for 4 hours for your Future Friday. And as far as money investment, honestly, you got to just get the ball rolling. And like, I would use free things, free tools, free resources to get to my first goal, and then kind of level up. And I'd make a plan for that. So I wouldn't put a lot of money up front into this. The thing I want to put up front is the time investment. Am I making the appropriate time investment? And then if the time's there, I'm creating value, and then that value should be received and accepted. And there does come a point and a threshold where, like even this, I'm doing a lot of free content right now because I want to build relationships. I want to let people know what I'm really in this for and why I'm doing this. And then when you have something valuable, then people, they recognize it, they appreciate it, and they want to get behind it. So I hope that helps. And then the last one is, how do you get unstuck? How do you get unstuck? That is a great question. We think stuck is static, but being stuck is not always static. What I mean by this is, see you, Tasha. Thank you. What I mean by this is, many times your rut is a rhythm that you are going through mindlessly. So the easiest way to get stuck is to think intentionally about what's going on, to actually just put it in your face again, to just see it, because it becomes so familiar to us, it becomes a blind spot. And if we are seeing if we're seeing things that were in our blind spot before, we will figure out ways to get out of those ruts. And so the different ways is have those sincere, open, real conversations. Talk to God, talk to friends, talk to mentors, obviously talk to your spouse, talk to family members, whatever. But what you're asking that vulnerable question: what am I not seeing? What am I not seeing right now? And it takes a lot of humility to get that. But if you are in a lifestyle of learning and discerning, then hopefully, and if you're doing that pretty often, then it's going to help out. It's going to help out. All right, I am done. I think y'all are too. I really appreciate this time. I want to remind you that there is a free fail-proof planning guide waiting on you. I would love for you to take action. Take action. Do something today. I would rather do something today than have an awesome plan that I'm going to procrastinate at the end of the month or year or whatever. So get started and then get better. And this tool can help you. If you found this conversation valuable or enjoyable, then please share this link with someone else. Share this video with others. You can subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can stay in touch with all of these conversations. Join the email community. And what I do is I send a weekly email, and it's all bundled up and it goes out at one time. So you don't have to come run down these YouTube live streams, but it'll all come to you in your inbox. Remember, you are going places in the future, that's for sure. And that's why I'm here to help you prepare for your future, helping you stay focused, because every day matters. So I will be back on Monday with a brand new coaching conversation. It's a lot of fun. It's a little bit different. It's definitely off the beaten path, but it's going to help you out a lot. So have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time.